Okay, so when I did the review of the FuriousFPV Smart Power Case for your FatShark goggles, a bunch of you mentioned that there was a major flaw in this product and that it didn't allow you to use the full capacity of the 18650 batteries that are in here, and that's actually true. I didn't mention that because I was actually going to do this video here where I'm going to mod it. You don't have to do this mod if you don't want to. You can just, uh, you know, basically what happens is you power this on and the battery in here will go from like 8.2 volts or 8.4 volts, and you can take it all the way down to 6 volts, which is, there's two of them in here. You can get 3 volts per cell on a lithium ion battery. That's no problem. The problem is that at about 7 volts, which is about 3.5 volts per cell, the FatShark goggles start beeping and complaining, and then soon thereafter the goggles will actually shut down. So there's a low voltage cutoff inside the goggles here. I believe there's a way you can mod that too, where you can bypass that, but I think this mod's a little bit easier. So I'm not going to go into modding the goggles. What most people do is they mod the discharge lead on these sort of 18650 style batteries, and they put a 9-volt regulator on there, so it supplies a constant 9 volts to the goggles no matter what the voltage is coming out of the batteries here. So what I end up doing is I end up getting this thing here. It's the Pololu 9-volt step up voltage regulator, and this is the model number. And that's what it looks like there. I have actually a couple of these. I'm going to do another video later. I'll explain that in a second. But it's very tiny. It's like smaller than the size of my thumb, right there. I use that little voltage regulator, and it'll step up the voltage from 2.5 volts up to 9 volts. So as the voltage of this case here decreases from the max voltage of 8.4 volts and approaches 7 volts, it'll keep on outputting 9 volts on the discharge lead all the way until it gets to, I mean, you can take it all the way down even below 3.0 volts per cell, but that's what I have my smart power case set to, is 6 volts, and that's when it's going to shut down. So you'll get more of the capacity of the batteries in here. So what I was finding out is the two 18650s that I had in here, they're both 3000 milliamps. So obviously I could put another, the whole capacity of this is 3000 milliamps. But when I was actually charging these back up after, I was only going down to 7 volts, I was only putting back in like 1400 milliamps, 1500 milliamps, about half the actual capacity of the battery. So even though I'm totally happy with the amount of time I was getting off just even using half the battery capacity here, but for those of you guys that wanted to have the full battery capacity, you can do this mod so you get the full battery capacity, and then of the batteries you're using here, and obviously you get more power on time for this without having to charge it. So I'll just show you what I did. I just cut the discharge lead here, and what you want to do is you want to be careful. You don't want to just cut it. I guess you could do that. I mean, what I did was I just cut the lead here, and then I cut more of this insulation sheath here, because inside this one wire is 2 wires, a positive and a negative, which goes to the barrel connector here. And then so I cut, basically this little gap here is the amount of this rubber wire insulation that I cut off, but I didn't cut the internal wires in there, and so I was able to then solder on the red and black wires to the Pololu input here for the voltage in on the voltage regulator, step up regulator, and then the other side is a voltage out. See, both the grounds are going to go to the one ground on the Pololu, and there's going to be a voltage in coming in from the battery here, and then the voltage out is going to go to the discharge barrel connector here. So that's pretty much how I did the modification, and then I obviously just put some heat shrink here to secure it so it doesn't fall off. Now, I wouldn't be too worried about it, in terms of like strain relief, because this is just going to be plugged into the goggle like so. And I just leave it plugged in all the time, so there shouldn't be a lot of stress on here. I just wouldn't be yanking on this. And then another question I'm sure people ask is, what about charging it? Well, I just charge it through the balance lead here, and since obviously you can't charge it through the discharge lead here because then this regulator is in the way, it's going to mess things up. So if you were charging before with the adapter, these into balance lead to like a regular hobby recharger. That'll still work. I did test that. That works. Or you can of course just take the batteries out, but that's inconvenient because you got to unscrew these two screws and take the batteries out and then put it into a different charger. I just use the little charge adapter that the case comes with and charge it with my ISDT Q6 Plus. Works just fine. And now I'm getting like a really super long power on time with this because I can go all the way from 8.4 volts down to 6 volts instead of 7 volts. And now because the regulator is in this on the discharge lead here, getting constant 9 volts out, and this fast charge goggle will not complain that the voltage is getting low. Now, when you're using some other case besides this one here, it's not going to warn you that the voltage is low. So you could over discharge your batteries if you don't have any sort of indicator. Like if you have one of the little like custom DIY type of battery where you don't have the special case here, but you actually just solder a couple of 18650s together, then you're going to need some sort of voltage indicator as to what your voltage is, so you know that you don't over discharge the two batteries in here, because you can go well below 3 volts. Obviously at 2.5 volts this regulator will shut down, and then you won't get any, it won't output any voltage on here at all. So yeah, you'll need some sort of alarm. But this smart power case has a little beeper on here, so set your alarm to 6 volts on this, and then when it gets to 6 volts, around thereabouts, it'll start beeping and warning you. But it won't cut off the power, because even at 6 volts, it'll continue to supply 9 volts out on the discharge plug here to your goggles, so you can keep on flying, and then not just have it suddenly the goggles just suddenly beep a couple times and then shut off in the middle of flying. I've had that happen a long time ago when I was using the regular batteries that the Fat Sharks came with. They would just the batteries would drain, and then you get a couple beeps while you're flying, and then it would just shut off in the middle of flying, which kind of sucked. So this little regulator here will also solve that problem. And I'll have another video later. Yeah, so I bought a second one of these. I'm going to try a little experiment here. I've got another spare 18650 battery that I might do like a little hack job on, and create, I don't know, a single, basically instead of using two batteries, using a single 18650 to basically power up my Fat Sharks. And obviously just having one battery here on the side of your head will make it a little lighter. So I'll have a mod video for that down the road, so if you're interested in that, let me know. If you have any questions, I'll address that in that video, but that's going to be later on. A little experiment. Let's see if I can actually power on my goggles with just one battery instead of two, which would most normally everyone else does on just two batteries. So anyway, guys, I hope you found the video helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.